Dave Brat is joining us, Congressman, 7th District, Virginia, Republican, and he's up for re-election 2018. Everybody is. The Democrats think they can take it over. They're running. They got quite the platform going here. I mean, if you're a Democrat right now, you got like a platform. I mean, you don't need a PhD in economics for this platform. You don't even need a college. You don't need anything. Here's their platform. Trump sucks. And Ivanka sucks too. That's their platform. Now, it worked in Virginia. Can it work nationally? I don't know. We'll have to see. Joining us now to figure this out, Congressman, 7th District Republican, Dave Brat. Congressman, good to have you. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year, John. I got a short segment with you today because I'm up in frosty Culpeper, about 7 degrees right now. We're about ready to visit some of our business leaders up here, but I wanted to pop in on you while I could.
Okay, talk to us about the budget potential shutdown. Senate needs 60 votes, right? No more 50 or 51. They need 60. What, Congressman, is going to happen on January the 19th?
Yeah, well, I think we're going to end up doing another continuing resolution, another CR, right? And this, we've got to get out of this cycle. And so the press is part of the problem here. I know you know that, but go out to Politico today, and they'll say the 10 issues Republicans face, and they're all Democratic priorities on increased spending across the board. And so you got the press ignoring the reality that the American people gave us, Republicans, the House, the Senate, and the White House, and we do need 8 votes. So that is right. And you should compromise and work together, but it should be proportional to the votes you got from the American people. And so we're going to end up cobbling together another CR, but the Democrats want everything from A to Z. I mean, they want to bust the sequestration budget caps because we're asking for more defense dollars. So they want just more spending in general for their priorities. And then you have the press laying on the Republicans all of a sudden, and the press, for the first time in world history, is interested in deficits. And I've covered this issue with you many times, but on the tax bill, the narrow tax bill itself may not cover all the deficits, but the economic growth at 3% right now and 4% forecasted for next quarter easily covers what's left, which is about $500 billion we got to come up with after you account for economic growth from the tax bill itself. And so we get put in a box, and our side needs to do a much better job of saying, hey, look, you gave us a mandate. We need to govern, and you need to hold the Democrats. If they want to shut the government down after you give the House and the Senate and the White House to one party, we've got to make it very clear, because you cannot go on governing this way. And the American people kind of get that, right? They just got a gut feel, right? D.C. cannot operate. We got to explain the Democrats are blocking all momentum. We have a very positive agenda. I think you opened up just right? We're doing tax cuts. We're trying to improve health care policy and bring down the price. Right. And we're doing regulatory reform. Every business person out there I talk to now says, thank you guys. Thank you for getting rid of, they used to feel the federal government was coming after them. And now they got a reprieve, and you can get some economic growth. And the kids are starting to get multiple job offers again, which is a first for decades. And so that's basically what we're looking at.
Okay. So you're going to get another continuing resolution. Then what? Yep. You can't do those in perpetuity, right? At some point, you have to have a budget. And the Democrats are saying they'll shut the government down if they don't get amnesty on DACA. So out of the White House, Congressman Dave Brat, here's what we got today. We got Kellyanne Conway, who's a believer, who talks to the president on a daily basis in an informal manner, saying there'll be no deal on DACA without a wall. Then you've got other leakers in the White House, and we know how this goes. The open borders crowd in there leaking out that the president is set to cave on DACA and sign a deal that the Republicans are going to put on his desk to keep the government open. And the only thing they're going to get in return is to keep the government open. What the hell kind of a deal is that?
Yeah, no, and we have not done a good job of framing the DACA deal at all, right? Last year, CIS just came out with a report last week. We let 1.8 million legals and illegals in 2016 alone. So we're on a trend line, right? That's 1.8 million people per year. And then DACA is 700,000 to 800,000 new people. And then with chain migration, a conservative estimate, right, from South and Central America is at least 3 or 4 people come in for every person you allow in with some status. And so that 800,000 blows up into another 3 million. So you got a permanent increase of, you're looking at 5 million new folks, right? When our job market's already in chaos. The unemployment rate is down, but the labor force participation rate, that's the accurate measure, right, is still at an all-time low. People can't find jobs that we don't have a skilled labor force ready to rock and roll. And so we've got to make some major changes in policy. Our employers legitimately come to us and say we cannot find skilled labor in welding and technical skills and all that. The Republicans just put forward a bill to help on that, which is a start. But immigration is not the solution, right? The cheap labor crowd, of course, wants that, but they don't have to pick up the tab for 2 kids in school is $26,000 a year, emergency room costs, overcrowding of schools. All the costs that go with it, and the Democrats say, well, immigration's good for the economy. But you try to explain to the American people that all those costs I just mentioned are going to be covered, and every economist will tell you that's not the case.
Well, look, wages are going up because employment is growing, unemployment is dropping, and as people enter the labor force now, jobs are tighter. So as long as we can keep that flow going, it's going to drive up wages. I mean, the problem with dumping all these illegals and taking all these, HB1 visas and work visas and green cards and illegal immigration is then you expand the workflow, especially of unskilled labor, which then drops the wage rate. I mean, it's supply and demand that you got taught, forget college, 10th grade high school.
Yep.
It's so obvious to me. I just cannot understand why people don't see this clearly. So, Congressman Dave Brat.
And the one other piece, right, you're right. So you got a tight labor market right now because you also have a huge welfare problem because the people that have checked out of the economy are now on welfare, and they're eligible for $40,000 each in federal welfare programs, right? So then you bring in 5 million more people, you displace American workers, and make it very hard to find jobs, so the wage does go up, but more people are displaced and go into welfare. So Paul Ryan and the Republican leadership are looking at, that's one of the top priorities, is getting able-bodied people back into the workforce. And that's got to be priority one, because then you'll get a truer sense of, hey, look at all the talent we got on the sidelines, people that could be working that are not because they're stuck in poverty traps. And we want to give them a much better life, right? The private sector is the only way you're going to take independence over of your own life and really ramp yourself up into, take advantage of your lifetime passions and talents, et cetera. And we want to give that to every American, every American.
All right, Congressman, I know we're short on time. One more question. One of the initiatives the president has promised he's going to work on in 2018 is an infrastructure plan. There's only 2 ways to go about this. Either cut something to pay for it, which is there's not a lot of appetite for that in Congress now. You can't drive the debt up any further than it is. So the only other alternative is through a gasoline tax or something. How do you see this debate playing out?
I think you nailed it. It's going to be tight. We've got to do some major budget structural reforms and find savings across the board, right? I mean, you have building, you're right in the middle of it, right? You've got buildings that are, 3 or 4 normal city block size, housing agencies with tens of thousands of employees with pay in excess of $100,000 each in a lot of cases. And until you get at the size of the federal government, you won't be able to do these fundamentals anymore, right? And we all know the entitlement issue takes up about 70% of the federal budget. And so until you fix the entitlement mandatory issues, you're going to keep crimping transportation funding, education funding, military funding, all of those things. And so you're right. This takes bipartisan work, and the Democrats, as soon as you talk about trying to reform these big things, they throw up negative ads on the air. And so they're not constructive. You're right. They don't have a budget bill ready to go. They don't have a health care bill. They don't have fixes to Obamacare on paper anywhere you can find. They don't have a tax plan ready to go. They don't have a pro-growth business plan. So they have no agenda. And they're just running on this animus. I think that wears out after a while, right? The people are going to get fatigued from the negativity, and they're going to say, look, we need some solutions. Who's got it on paper? And let's see it. And the Democrats, unfortunately, don't have it right now.
Well, I tell you what, that political strategy, I didn't think it would work in Virginia. It did. It did. I mean, there's no question. You look at all the surveys and the poll numbers, they ran on no issues other than Trump and Ivanka suck. And people came out and said, I don't care if Sammy the Cat was on the ballot, if it had a D by his name, that's what I was going to do. So, look, they're looking at Virginia. It worked. They're going to try to double down on it. I just can't see it working a second time as we get in the midterms. I think people are going to want action, especially when the economy is booming, Congressman. Yep. Booming. Yep. I mean, 401ks are up. Retirement is up. Stocks are up. Confidence is up. Business is up. Investment is up. Wages are going up. Taxes are going down. I mean, it's booming. People have more money in their pocket, and they're feeling good about their future. And so you're going to jeopardize all that based on what? You don't like the president's tweets or his hair or his demeanor or what he says to the New York Times? I don't see it. But look, I was dead wrong on Virginia, right? I have to admit that. I didn't see it
no one
then.
Saw it coming. No one saw the scope of that wave coming. And you got it right. The one difference is we didn't have a huge accomplishment done at that election cycle. Now we do. And so that makes a huge difference. Can you imagine if we would have had Obamacare repealed and a real health care solution,
it would have been
regulatory done and taxes done, we would have done much, much better. And so
I agree.
That's
what
we got
with that, I think you're spot on, Congressman. It would have been a big difference. Okay, we're at a time. You got to go. I appreciate you being here. And look, I get a lot of people keep tweeting in complaining that you haven't had a recent town hall meeting. Do you have one on the docket?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have town halls and meetings. We're going to do all sorts of town hall, Facebook, phone stuff. I'm going to get out and do regular town halls again, too. But, I mean, you saw the last time, the same people that are calling in saying they want one, when you get up to speak, they shout you down. I mean, it's all on tape, right? Go look at my Blackstone town hall. Google it. Go Google my Chesterfield town hall. The left were all organized with red and green signs, swearing at the preacher, throwing F-bombs. I couldn't speak. And so part of this is political manipulation. Prior to President Trump, I had town halls every month in every county, right? So it's not an unwillingness to have town halls. I've been out there. I'm the most accessible guy you're ever going to see. But when you go up and just get yelled down, it's a waste of time, right? So I want to get out there again. It's up to the left. Once they stop the negativity and the swearing and the cussing, I'm happy to be out there. And I was at the NAACP yesterday in Henrico, had great meetings. We talked about education policy, some ways forward for kids with athletic and business programs they got in the district. And I'm meeting with everybody, but those big formal town halls where they shout you down, they're just not too effective.
Dave, final thing, Congressman, the president sent a tweet out today on North Korea that is absolutely driving the legacy media that hates his tweets bananas, taunting Kim Jong-un in North Korea, mocking him, if you will, saying he doesn't understand the power he has. It could cause a nuclear war. When you got up and saw that, did you think anything of it? Or is I'm the only one that didn't think it was that big of a deal?
Well, we have to be very careful and, professional in our rhetoric as leaders, et cetera. But by the same token, the left has been wrong on everything they say, right? They're just totally partisan. And so it's like you're crying wolf over and over, right? They said the stock market was going to plummet, foreign policy would be a disaster, the economy would be plunging, every disastrous prediction possible, and they were wrong on the elections. And so they're wrong on everything, and they're just playing total, partisan politics. So they're equally dangerous because the power of the press is being diminished because you don't know where the truth lies anymore because they won't report it. And so it's a two-way street. If they were a little more positive, that would help everyone else remain positive as well. All
right. You're out of time. That's the final word. I want to thank Congressman Dave Brat for being with us today and being so open. And
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Dave. I know you got to take off. You can get more information. Go to davebrat.com, davebrat.com.